Hi, Sebastian. Good to see you. How are you doing? Thank you for the like. Just did a little workout, but just went and had a shower and just come back now. So, yeah. Yeah, good to have you here. What have you been up to today? I hope you've had a good day today. A quick drink. Not a lot eating crap on yeah. So, yeah, I feel fat and horrible. I'll try harder next week. Why not now? Why do you have to wait till next week? Oh yeah, because next week starts tomorrow. But it sounds like it's like way out into the future, and it's not. But I mean, one of the things I would say is to try and just. I mean, what I would do is just try to find foods that you enjoy that are also healthy, and just try and stock up on those instead of stocking up on junk. Because it's all about trying to sort of create some resistance between you and the junk food and make healthier food more accessible, so then you're more likely to just go for that. If you ever, for example, crave something sweet, then you might find a fruit that is satisfying, so that could be an option. But it's just about finding what works for you, really, isn't it? It's about just not trying to tell you what to do here. It's just yeah. Everyone's got their own sort of foods that they can enjoy, but everyone's got their own taste buds and all that. It's very subjective, isn't it, when it comes to preferences and things like food and anything really. It's mad how like one person can think something tastes really nice and then another person can think it tastes horrible. So is it that they're having a different experience in their mouth or something? I mean, you actually think like, even like when people see color, are we seeing the same thing, I was hoping to catch Johan his advice. What you seem to be quite obsessed with Johan for some reason. I don't know. You always keep mentioning Johan. I don't know like what's that about, but anyway. So feel free to ask questions, everybody. Hope you've all had a blessed day and share this out if you can. Yeah, just noticed you keep mentioning him in my lives, so just wondering what that's about, really. Anyway, welcome into my live, everybody. Make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Everybody had a good day. I'm not obsessed with him. He's a lovely person, and when I get a negative response, he's being kind. Right, fair enough. Yeah. To be fair, he did once say that, like, I should put a top on or something like that. I'm sure it was him that was being kind of like, I don't know. He didn't seem to like it so much when I was doing my workouts, like, shirtless or something. It's like, well, I can do what I want. But I don't know if he's just kind of not bothered now or something or what, but some people can be a bit bothered by it for some reason. It's like, well, yeah, it was a regular. Yeah, it is a regular. It's just, I remember a time when he was being all kind of like, hi, goals are for you. Oh, it's Shelly. How you doing, Shelly? Welcome to my live. How are you? Nice to see you. Are you new here? Welcome to my live. So yeah, is there anything I can help you with? Thank you for subbing. So yeah, I've just been doing a workout. So I do a lot of stuff on health, fitness, well-being, that kind of stuff. So if there's anything you're struggling with right now, then let me know and we can try to help you. So have a quick drink. Gotta keep yourself hydrated. That's really important. Hydration is key, because otherwise it's like you're not going to be able to perform well if you're not hydrated. You're probably going to feel tired. You're going to feel just thirsty and just not good. Yeah. So what's that? Yeah, goals for you. So Shelly. Yeah, Shelly from NJ. Is that New Jersey? Remember there was a song that goes through all the different states. Well, not all of them, but about 15 of them, something like that. And it was like a play on words, and it was like, for example, there was one that goes something about someone wearing a brand new jersey, and it was like, what was it else was there? Why did California she phoned to say Hawaii? Yeah, so it's like it was like kind of just, hi Pedro, good to see you. How you doing? So yeah, I just remembered that song. It was why did California phone to say Hawaii? I'll get it up now. Like why did California? Why did California? Yeah. What did Delaware? That was the one. What did Delaware? She wore a brand new jersey. Yeah. Anyway, hope you're all well tonight. You're still there, Shelley. I just thought I would mention that song. It was. Well, the song is "What Did Delaware Boys" or something. Or what did Delaware boys? Or what did Delaware? Or what did Delaware? It's like she wore her brand new jersey, but she wore a brand new she wore a new jersey. Or what does Iowa? She wears Washington. Or what does Idaho? She holds a Maryland. Oh God. Um. What does Tennessee? She sees what Arkansas. Hi Isaac, good to see you. Or what has Oregon? She's gone to Oklahoma. Or how did Flory die? She died in Missouri. Yeah, right, Johan. Oh, he's here now. Yeah. Yeah. I bet you're relieved now that Johan's here, isn't it? Yeah, Sebastian was asking about you. So, saying, oh, hope you're as well and all that stuff. So is Shelley still there? So it's kind of, I thought she was going to kind of stick around for a bit, but that's okay. Yeah. So what's up, everybody? Hope you're all well. So does anyone know about the song about the different, all these different names of states and stuff? Like there was another one about what did Mississippi? She's shipped to Minnesota. Yeah. Anyway, welcome in here, everyone. I hope you're all well tonight. Yeah. Anyway, welcome in. Is everybody okay? Yeah, it's supposed to continue for the next few days at least, I think. Last time I saw it, it's supposed to anyway. But we'll see how it turns out, because you never know, do you? They don't always get it right, do they? Do you remember there was this time when there was this guy who said, "Oh, don't worry, that there's not going to be what was it? Some kind of like disaster. I am nothing. I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing?" Like there was this, I think it was called Michael Fish or something like that. It was like a weather report, and it was like, "Oh, don't worry, there's not going to be a hurricane or anything like that," or whatever it was. And then that didn't age well, shall we say? And yeah, it was infamous one. Difficult to sleep at night, humid weather. I'll have to put fan on tonight. Where are you from again? It's not been bad for sleeping, I don't think, but yeah, fan can help, can't it? Just kind of circulate the air. But I suppose it depends on yeah. Some people struggle in the heat more than others. Something about body fat can actually, because it kind of insulates you. So, but that it can be good for winter time, but then not very good for summertime, right? So yeah, just gotta kind of. Yeah. Some might say it'd be better to have a bit more fat in the winter and then get shredded in the summertime, because then when you're shredded you'll be able to keep cool in the summertime, but then when it's winter you could bulk up or something, and then but you don't want to bulk up too much because then you're just going to get fat. So I'm not too bad, not the best, but I'm trying to have more positive thoughts. When I was younger, I was happy-go-lucky, so positive thoughts for me. I don't want to feel low. I'm an alcoholic. See, I did it to myself. Yeah, you just gotta try to focus on the positive things that you have right now, and it's difficult, and I struggle as well, but just remember, at least you're not in a war zone, at least you're not starving. There's a lot to be grateful for. Just gotta try to remember that. Maybe do some journaling or something if you're struggling. Just try to put your attention towards all the things you're grateful for. So that's what I would do, but it's up to you at the end of the day. Yeah. If anyone's got any questions, put them in the chat. Yeah, it's very slow in here now, so just try and show me out if you can. Feel free to ask questions. What do you guys want to talk about then? Don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow yet. Not really, planned too much, but I was thinking about doing some busking, but we'll see. Don't want to make any promises. So what are you guys up to tomorrow? Any plans? I was trying to get some more content out in it, Just got to keep trying to get the content out, When I grow the channel, I'm just got to keep pushing it out there. So, who we got in here then? Who else is in here? Johan says, stay positive. I have nothing. Take each. Jax Johnson, good to see you again. I follow Michael Barrymore. He has new YouTube channel. He talks about his struggles in life without booze. He still drinks, but 0% wine and 0% Guinness. Right. Are you on about like it's all kind of like non-alcoholic stuff or something? So I remember there was that thing where there wasn't it like a kind of where he got in trouble with like because he drowned somebody or something, but then he got off with it or something because wasn't he like intoxicated at the time or something, and then like so I guess he's been on this kind of like sobriety thing and just ever since that. I saw this thing where he was like running. He was doing pretty well. Hi Tommy, how you doing? Hope you're well. He was actually like pretty much like sprinting. He's like 70 years old. It's like pretty impressive. Like he seemed to be quite fit for his age. I mean, for like someone who's like 70 years old plus, I mean, he's doing pretty well. So this is the thing. It's like we've got to try and focus on our health so we don't end up crippled when we're old. You don't want to end up with bad joints. You don't want to end up with weak muscles and just disabled when you get old. So I'm doing fine, thank you, Tommy. Hi, Madalena. How are you doing tonight? Hope all is well. Thank you for joining me. But yeah, it's about the health span thing, because what good is it to live to 100? Hi, Smokey, good to see you here. How are you doing? What good is it to live to 100, but be like crippled for the last 20 to 30 years? Like you see some people where it's just they're like, they're not actually really living, are they, the last few decades of their life? So that's what I mean. It's like we've got to just focus on, making sure that we're not just going to end up wasting those last years of our life. Otherwise, let's say, someone retires at 65, but by then thank you for the super chat. I'm nothing. Keep it up, man. Try to bring positive out of negative. I'm down, but happiness comes from within. I'm having a detox and good luck with that. Just we're all here to support you. Have you tried Subway before? Yeah, I used to have a Subway, but it's just they put a lot of chemicals in these foods. It's just I don't really trust a lot of it. But hi, Uni the Clown, how you doing? As someone new who wants to get fit, what should I do to start? I would just say start off with just a basic calisthenics program, like just doing things like you could start off with bodyweight squats, push-ups if you can do them. If you can't do them, try to do it from the knees. Just do some try to do some, if you get access to a bar, a pull-up bar, something like that, try to do pull-ups or just body weight rolls for your back. And then you've got there's a few other exercises like bicep curls and things like that. Just try to make sure you're hitting every body part with it. If you're trying to it depends on if you're trying to build muscle. But if you're just wanting to lose weight, then just go in a calorie deficit for a while. Just try to focus on eating less than what you burn. So if you maintenance is like 2,500, then maybe drop it to about 2,000, for example, so that you're in a deficit so you can lose weight. But if you're trying to build muscle, then just focus on some basic exercises, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, rows, chin-ups for biceps, and you can do and then you can just add a few other variations in, like pike push-ups, try different kind of angles and different things like that. So I'm not on a calorie deficit now. But also diet is of course important. Make sure that you're eating enough protein if you're trying to get fit, if you want to try and build muscle and you want to be change your body composition. So if you're wanting to get leaner and get more muscular, try and focus a lot more on protein. Make sure you're getting enough carbs, but try to limit the amount of fats, I would say, to try and make sure you're not in a calorie surplus. So you want to probably have carbs before workout, protein after a workout, but you want to have some healthy fats in there as well to be able to have long sustained energy. Carbs are good for explosive energy, so just try to balance out your macronutrients and stuff. I don't think I could really write a book on it because there's already a lot of stuff out there that, I don't feel like I really have anything that unique to show. But yeah, but what I would also say is just to not overdo it, because you don't want to get carried away and then do too much volume. Just try to focus on going, intense with your workouts, training close to failure, or at least with, you don't necessarily have to go close to failure, but you have to do enough volume, but don't do too much volume, because that's gonna, as long as you can recover from your workouts, just focus on the basic movements at first. You could do some lateral raises for side delts and things like that. Just mainly focus on compound lifts, and then you can do some like isolation stuff as well, just to round out your physique. But if you're new to it, you probably don't need to worry too much about that. Hi Haley, have you ever had a hello of fresh? No, I've not ever had that. Have you? Focus on the negato. I would say I wouldn't really agree with that necessarily. I mean, as long as you control the negative, you don't need to really go slow. The literature says that, yeah, you just need to, as long as you're not just dropping the weight, then as long as you're controlling the weight. I mean, the thing is, if you do too slow on the negative, then that can actually decrease the total load on the muscles. So it's just, I don't necessarily agree with this kind of dogmatic thing on super slow negatives and all that. Actually, it's the negative. Nah, it's like you want to have a controlled negative, but the problem with slow negatives, then you're gonna have to decrease the weight or decrease the amount of reps that you're doing. So it's just overall, is it really going to do you any good? I mean, as long as you're not just not controlling it at all, because that can be dangerous. But yeah, there's actual new literature out that says that that basically slow negatives versus just kind of, okay, I may ask, what is squat barbell? Mainly pistol squats and other variations of bodyweight squats. But I just I do kind of like mix different tempos and stuff, but the negative is, I don't think it's really as important as what, because the negative is actually the easier part of the lift, if you will, like in terms of, you're the strongest on the negative part of the lift. So the concentric is when you're really putting a lot of force into it. So I mean, so why would having slow negatives really help? Well, it's just going to lead to a lot of, I mean, I don't know, because I hear people on both camps on talking to lad in gym on Friday. He was telling me only way for gains is to focus on same muscle twice a week. Is this true, Jamie? No, it depends on how much you work in each muscle per week. Like if you work it really hard, then yeah, you're probably only going to be able to do twice a week on the same muscle. But if you spread your volume out and you can, where you're not really taxing it too much every day, you can work it every day. It's the eccentric what does the damage. But when you're doing the, pushing it out, then obviously you're shortening the muscle. But I don't know, I mean, the whole thing is trying to go to failure or not. Well, I mean, some people say you don't have to go exactly to failure. I just go with whatever I feel like is right. I mean, I don't do 5-second negatives and all that. But yeah, it depends on, I don't know. But so what you're telling me that concentric doesn't cause any damage? Casitio, are you one of these friggin' genetic beast fanboys or something? I'm just wondering, like, because that's the stuff that he was talking about, and I'm just seeing if, like, concentric and about whether it builds muscle. It's saying about, like, yes, concentric contractions where a muscle shortens as it contracts are effective for building muscle. They're essential for building muscle mass and increasing strength. Concentric exercises like bicep curls and push. So, but you were saying about the negative, but wouldn't, the muscle damage during concentric? Hi, Juice. How you doing? Good to see you again. How are you? That was, what was it? Izzy, wasn't it? Genetic beast. What do you mean, Casitio? Hi, OG. Good to see you again. How are you? Of course, Jimmy, you are not wrong, but add the slow eccentric boom. It depends on what type of muscles you want to build. If you want to have, like, fast explosive muscle, then focusing more on the concentric would be better. But if you want to have more, like, slow twitch muscles, and that would, so you work in different types of muscle. I'm not bad, Jamie. Hope you well. Every muscle I have, all that. Yeah, so I mean, you could say, well, if you have, somewhat eccentric, then it's good. You're gonna get a mix of that. But it depends on what kind of. Because let's say if you want to be more of like a kind of fighter or something like that, then if you want to have that explosive, like, because I was watching this thing with, like, because I'm not a fan of Andrew Tate and all that, but I was watching this video where he was with, like, Mike Thurston, and the type of training that Andrew Tate does is more kind of, it's going to be more fast twitch, because it's like, obviously when you're fighting, you have to, be as fast as you can. I did MMA when I was young, right? What's that? If Tommy was chocolate, he would eat himself. Who's Tommy? Sorry? Young man sport, right? Why? Because when you're older, it's not good for you, you're saying, or something? Or just that older people don't tend to be into that? I just like explosive exercises, but I mean, I do some, like, posed reps and stuff like that sometimes. And oh, Tommy, oh yeah, I don't know. Why do you disagree with Tommy or something? Or what would be optimum for sailing? That's a lot of weight moving around on the boat, high speed to shift weight. Yeah, that could be a problem if you're trying to, like, do sailing. If you're doing, let's say, like, rowing and stuff like that, then yeah, I mean, it would probably be good for, like, just short bursts, but it's like with sprinting, they tend to be more jacked, but, like, when it comes to, like, longer distance, they tend to be more, kind of slim. So it's just about type of muscles, obviously. But yeah, eccentric. So, like, I mean, I do, like, control the eccentric, and sometimes I do slower eccentrics. It just depends on what I feel like doing at the time. Like, certain exercises, I don't really control it. I say if I'm doing, like, pull-ups, I just kind of don't really control it, because it's very hard to get enough reps doing it like that. But unless I just try to hold the top position, and there's things like, isometric and stuff like that. There's a mixture of things that I do, but I was just saying that according to the literature, I mean, it could be all wrong and it might not be carried out with good methodology. So, but that's what was suggesting, that a 1 second negative was enough. It was comparable to, like, a 5 second negative. Because I was watching, I think it was on Jeff Nippard, they actually did some study on it or something, but yeah. Oh no, I mean like stretching the muscle is good, but the thing is you're not going to be able to, like I said, if you're doing the same number of reps, then you wouldn't be able to lift as much weight, I'm guessing. I bet you 100 UK pound in 12 weeks. I mean, I've already put size on. So, yeah, what, a couple of weeks, really? I don't think a couple of weeks enough to have size change. But yeah, it's just, I have put size on in the last few months though, but I'm not really like bothered about being paid to do it. Sounds a bit kind of like bribey to me, but whatever. Definition, yes. Oh, the definition. Probably from a lot of the like ab workouts and stuff. But yeah, just I don't know. I'm not up too dogmatic with things. Like I'll just kind of do different things, like explosive reps, and then sometimes I'll do slower reps. I mean, I just kind of go with whatever I feel like at the time. Yeah, that's right, Tommy. But it's just funny how you were saying that about putting size on in 12 weeks. So, what are you even on about? Like, I'm probably just gonna like, I really can't be bothered with you anymore. So I'm probably just gonna like, yeah, I'm just gonna say goodbye to you for now because it's just like I feel like I'm losing brain cells right now, just kind of with this, because it's like, what are you even on about? I mean, you're probably not gonna notice a massive amount of changes in 12 weeks. What if he's saying that size takes years? It's like, yeah, of course, OG, but it's just I don't know if he's just trying to be contrarian or whatever, or if he's just a genetic beast fanboy or some shit that's just bought into the whole kind of thing. People acting like there's some kind of, sort of like secret to like getting huge. But genetic beast isn't really anything that special in my opinion. And he does all these supposed like workout style of, just mainly focusing on the eccentric. Yeah. What's that? Controversial oppositional to pretend they're not normal. Eat well, work out that at your own pace. Yeah. The thing is that the body can only handle so much damage. So, yeah, I mean, you could argue there's certain ways that are most effective at doing that in the shortest amount of time. But ultimately, as long as you're getting the job done, then you're going to grow as long as you have everything right. As long as you are damaging the muscles, as long as you're creating some mechanical tension for a certain amount of time on that muscle to get to a certain level of fatigue, you're gonna get results. But like I said, when it comes to like super slow negatives, like I say, if you can only do, say, like, let's say you can do a certain weight of like, let's say you can do 10 reps of a certain weight, right? But if you do really slow reps, you might only be able to do 5-6 reps of that. So to be able to do 10 reps still, you'd have to bring the weight down. So is it really any more effective? It's like, yeah, you could argue, well, there's less tension on the eccentric, but there's more on the concentric. There's more intensity. There's more focus on the intense part of the movement. I don't know if it really matters that much on. People have different definitions of what big looks like as well. Yeah, I know, because to some people, like Mike O'Hearn looks like a twig because they've seen that many roid heads that even other people on roids look like, some people might actually think he's natural because they've seen that many roid heads that that are just blasting tren and all sorts of crap that they don't even, that they're completely skewed. I mean, whatever. But yeah, the whole thing of, focus on, do 5-second eccentric, 10-second eccentrics. Is it really gonna be that much more effective? I don't think so. You see a lot of old school lifters, and you could say, well, they're juicing and whatever, but there's a lot of natural lifters. Did they really do all this focusing on eccentric thing? I mean, they just focus on lifting heavy and just destroying the muscles, but not overdoing it though. Not destroying them so much that they can't recover. So it's just, we should look at okay, what worked for these people? Because, are the natural lifters any bigger now? We've got all this science-based lifting, but yet they don't seem to have really made any progress in terms of how big they can get. And I think it's just because there's only so big you're going to be able to get, unfortunately. It's like people can keep trying to look for science on, how can we, make this exercise more effective? But the truth is, there's only so much your body can recover from. So yeah, if you're trying to focus on damaging a certain muscle, there's only so much you can do to grow muscle. It's just common sense, right? People should know this, but it's they're looking for the most optimal way. Truth is, yeah, it's about just making sure that you're damaging each muscle and to where you're creating enough fatigue in that muscle, but you obviously can't overdo it. But people just don't have common sense anymore. It's like there's these midwit kind of people who are just, they're so focused on all the nonsense, so-called science. Oh, this gives the certain muscle 2% more activation or whatever. I've been reading about reducing cortisol, the stress hormone, to support faster recovery and stable energy. Some advice was not eating too late in the evening, getting good sleep. Well, actually, I do eat late in the evening, but maybe I should try and not do. But the problem is that I have to eat that much that I have to eat late in the evening. But one thing could be is meditation, and that's something I've been practicing, and that could be a way to actually reduce cortisol. There's this thing called yoga nidra, and it might actually be a good one. And so I think more focus should be on how to optimize your recovery rather than trying to focus on, this exercise gives 2% more activation on the bicep or whatever crap. Because that's just some nerdy ass shit that. Because if their sleep is all messed up, if their cortisol levels are through the roof, then what is the point of all that, They're not going to benefit from any of that, are they? Some people like to rip muscles so it creates scar tissue and size. Complete madness, I say. Well, the thing is that if they're tearing the muscles, then causing. But the thing is that you're going to need. Well, for one, you're going to need a lot of protein. Two, you're going to need a lot of recovery. Now, obviously, if you're on roids, you're able to recover faster and you're able to go harder. So, but I'm not saying people should do that. It's not a good idea. But like basically, I think not after 7:30 p.m. carbs spike late evening gives an insulin spike and cortisol. Well, it's just like I tend to eat more protein late at night after a workout or something. So maybe like, I don't know. I just try to, I don't have like a huge meal usually, but I guess it also depends on what time you go into bed and all that. But yeah, it's just I have to eat a lot of food and it's hard to get it all in because I've tried doing the intermittent fasting stuff and I just end up feeling horrible. I just feel bloated a lot of the time trying to like fit it into that window. That's possibly okay as protein is more steady energy, right? But it's just, I just have to do what I've got to do. Otherwise, it's better for me to eat late and then get a bit of a cortisol spike, whatever, than to not eat enough food and not be able to get the benefits from the workout. It's just tough or whatever. Unless I should maybe do my workouts earlier in the day, so then I feel hungry afterwards, so then I can get the calories in. I don't know, because I find that I tend to get more hungry after a workout. That makes me know that I've actually done what I needed to do. Because if I'm not hungry, then I haven't worked out hard enough. That's how I know if I've gone hard enough. If I'm not hungry, if I haven't built up an appetite, then what have I been doing? I've just been, fluffing and pumping or whatever, and just not really actually doing anything productive. So yeah, you should have a hunger spike after a workout, big time. But I would say focusing on things like meditation and just kind of relaxation, trying to just, if you've got a lot of like stress going on in your head, that's going to interfere. Another thing I would suggest is active recovery. That's another thing that I don't really hear a lot of people talk about, is that you actually want to be, moving your body a lot. A lot of people, they might go lift the weights, all right, and then they just go home and then sit down. But I find that if I've been walking around, moving my body, I get the blood flow. You kind of help to deliver the nutrients to the muscles, and also helps to get rid of a lot of that kind of lactic acid buildup and all that, so I can just keep going. So I think it's one of the secrets to actually be able to just keep going at it and just keep making progress, is doing that. From long distance cycling in the past, we would carb load to reach the calories goal, but it's better to eat carbs before training than protein after. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it, because then, because that protein is required for the recovery. But there's this thing about anabolic window, and I don't think it's really that accurate or something. It's like people saying that you should eat your protein within an hour after working out, but apparently it doesn't really matter that much as long as you get enough total protein in. But it's probably best to be on the safe side, I would say. But yeah, you don't necessarily need to be eating carbs after a workout though. So Pedro, you're right. Hope you're doing well tonight. But it's just this whole thing about obsession with slow eccentrics and all that. It's just, I don't know. I don't really feel like I need to worry too much about that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, eating enough protein throughout the day is important. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you've all had a good day, people. Feel free to ask questions. All right, what do you guys want to talk about then? But yeah, I'm on roughly about 170, 180, I think, per day now. So just trying to just be consistent with it all, and just because the problem is if some people what they'll do is say, let's say if they do a workout, they do all these workouts, and then they're eating like 60 grams of protein a day or something like that. And it's like you're just wasting it then, aren't you? Because you can't build if you're not getting enough protein. So this thing is that diet is just as important as the exercise itself. Because if let's say you work out and you're not eating enough protein especially, how are you going to grow from that? Your body can't just magically make muscle out of thin air. It's almost like some people think that their bodies can just magically make muscle out of thin air. It doesn't work like that. You need to eat. Yeah. It's just common sense, really. But yeah, well, it seems like a lot of people lack common sense, and they just say a lot of kind of like, it just makes me feel like just really kind of I don't know, like I'm losing brain cells every time I see some of these comments, on like when I see like people saying, oh, you need an 8-second eccentric or whatever, it's like, that's great, whatever, but is that really necessary? Like, I also don't think you should just be kind of doing it like what Arnold would do, where there's no eccentric whatsoever. I think they say like, yeah, if you're doing, like, say, you're doing the concentric, it should take at least as long to do the eccentric. So if you're doing, like, say, a 1 second concentric, then a 1 second eccentric, whatever, it's just, I don't know. I don't think people should really worry too much. Just as long as you're not causing any injuries and all that shit, then yeah. Fiber is a new protein. It was talking about fiber as a prebiotic for the gut, right? What do you mean? It's nothing to do with protein, but yeah, fiber is good for like the gut. I've been looking a lot into that. So it can actually help with like protecting you from like infections and things like that, because the gut actually is about 70 to 80% of your immune system. So if you're protecting your gut, then yeah, you're not gonna have a lot of inflammation in your gut. Then you can your immune system is going to work a lot more optimally in your gut. So I think that can help protect you from things like kind of stomach bugs and other kinds of illnesses where your immune system is activated. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people hardly eat any fiber at all. So yeah, I eat tons of fiber, but it causes you to be regular as well, and it can, if you eat a lot of insoluble fiber, that's going to increase the amount of volume in your stools. That sounds kind of disgusting, but fiber helps gut bacteria, and gut bacteria breaks down the protein. Without good gut health, the protein can be wasted, just passes through, right? So maybe that's how I've been able to kind of make the most of the protein that I've got. So that makes sense. So what you're saying is that, because some people are saying about like plant proteins not being very bioavailable, but maybe with the right amount of fiber, that might actually kind of counter that. And you might even get benefits from just like the fiber to like boost its availability. So yeah, so it's interesting. It's but fiber has a lot of health benefits, even like potentially like mental health benefits and brain function and things like that. Like, because they say the gut's the second brain, so if you're feeding the gut the right things, then that can really help. So yeah, who's still in here anyway? I'll have to have a look into this actually on about whether it increases protein bioavailability. It's a balance, better to have the correct proportion of fiber and protein than too much protein. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I just tend to find that I kind of just naturally get like a good balance of both. So it says while dietary fiber can influence protein digestion, it generally decreases protein bioavailability than increases it. So according to this, it does the opposite. But is that not true then? Fiber can physically hinder enzyme access to proteins and may accelerate the passage of food through the digestive tracts, reducing the time for digestion. Well, that kind of makes sense in a way that if it's, pushing food through too quickly, then it hasn't got as much time to digest it or something. I don't know. But what you seem to be suggesting is that it helps with protein digestion or something. And then we've got one here. Fiber doesn't get in the way of protein digestion. It slows it down, and as do fats and slow digesting types of protein such as casein. Hang on. So this is on muscle and fitness. Let's have a look. I don't know about that. The stuff I've listened to is more about the gut bacteria and the diet. Yeah, you were talking about protein and fiber. So it's saying like, what is it? It's saying that it slows down, as do the fats and slow digesting types of proteins such as casein. When you train, you create a demand in your muscles for amino acids. The more quickly you can deliver them, the less likely your body is to tear down other muscle mass to acquire the needed aminos for recovery. Just before you work out, start providing your body with a protein source that's quickly digested, such as whey. Avoid fiber at this time, as so aminos can be readily absorbed. What do you think about this? Prebiotics to build internal probiotic bacteria. Yeah, that's right, because the thing is that people can feed on all this friggin', kombucha and sauerkraut and kimchi and all that stuff. But if you're not eating enough fiber in your diet, then it's just going to go to waste, isn't it? Because you need the fiber for it to feed on. So what's this? So according to this, it's saying avoid fiber when you're eating, when you're doing like before a workout or something. It says at other times of the day you should consume slower digesting proteins, either in whole food or supplement form. These proteins will stay in your body longer, providing you with a more constant, longer lasting stream of amino acids, again preventing your body from tapping into muscle stores. Right. So let's see. Yeah. Hope you're all well tonight. So let's just look a bit more into this and the effect of fiber on protein digestibility. Fibrous food residues significantly reduced casein digestibility in vitro, which could contribute to the increase in fecal nitrogen. Okay, well, that's saying the opposite there, but maybe they're just, in vitro is not necessarily that accurate, but it's different to like in vivo sometimes. But yeah. But it's like some things seem to be contradicting here, but about protein availability and all that. Hi, Runner Boy, how are you doing? So I'm just looking into this thing about what the effects on fiber on protein absorption and all that, and digestion. And they were saying about like gut bacteria, having good gut bacteria is important. That if you feed your gut with the prebiotics and then build up the gut bacteria, then that can, let's have a look on, good gut bacteria effects on protein bioavailability. So it says healthy gut bacteria can improve protein bioavailability by enhancing digestion and absorption, reducing harmful fermentation, and potentially increasing the production of beneficial metabolites. Probiotics, for example, can improve protein utilization and reduce fermentation. The gut microbiome can also influence amino acid availability by utilizing or synthesizing them, which can impact overall protein metabolism. Does that make sense then? Well, yeah, you need to be able to break down protein properly. A lot of people have problems like Crohn's. Yeah, I've heard I know someone who's got Crohn's, and that can be a bit debilitating. Not debilitating, but it can restrict them with certain foods they struggle with, especially like high fiber foods and stuff like that. It can be an issue. So yeah, because the thing is, for most people, like high fiber foods can be really good for you. So did you know liquid you pee out comes from your blood? It gets absorbed into blood, then expelled into the bladder later on, right? Yeah, it's blood plasma or something. It's a form of filtered blood plasma or something. So yeah, right. So let's just have a look. So we've got rigid. So basically, it talks about fermentation of proteins, and apparently this can increase the risk of leaky gut. A lot of people think it's like a straight line that food and water go through. Yeah, and it's not really, is it? Yeah, it's so complicated as your system, A lot of us don't really kind of appreciate like how complicated the system is, like how it all functions, Right, so let's have a look. So yeah, basically have a look on things like probiotics. You've got prebiotics and hang on, no, that's not it. Let's see. Targeting the gut microbiota to improve dietary protein. Let's have a look at this. Of efficacy to mitigate sarcopenia. Well, it's in like older people that apparently they have issues with protein bioavailability or something like that, and they're recommended to eat more protein. So yeah, there's a lot of literature there, so I'm not going to go through all that. What probiotic strains help with the digestion of proteins? Let's have a look at this. But yeah, there's apparently certain ones that can help. But like we're saying, that you need the prebiotics for the gut microbiome to feed on. Otherwise, it's just wasted. Like if it's not getting its food supply, then yeah, it's just, what is the point? Yeah, to have a thriving gut microbiome, You want to have prebiotic fiber, like things like resistant starch. Hi, reluctant gamer. Good to see you again. How are you? Just think we can make a nuclear bomb, yet can't recreate the body through science yet. I know. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's like I was just talking about earlier with my mum, like how come they haven't like apparently they still don't even quite know what the mechanism is for asthma. Like they're still not 100% sure on things like asthma, what actually the root cause of that is. Like why are some people, is it kind of like an autoimmune sort of thing, perhaps? Like that seems to be the most likely to me. Like it's like an autoimmune response. So when people are getting like kind of not like autoimmune, but like it's almost like when people get hay fever and stuff like that, that their body rejects all these things. And apparently, right, when people, when these like people with asthma and they're breathing things in, like oftentimes they'll trigger symptoms. But the question is, what is causing it in the first place? But I've heard there's like breathing techniques that they can use to try to kind of reduce apparently it can actually reduce their need for inhalation, and even for some people they can even come off it. I have nothing says you see so old people with a lot of money and power. It's like when they release things but already have had them for years. I don't want to sound conspiratorial. I think if you're born wealthy, you're blessed and should try to live the healthiest lifestyle you can, right? But yeah, we just got to do the best with the cards that we've been dealt, is how I see it. We can't, we have no control over the cards we've been dealt, but we can try to play the cards the best that we can. So I used to have really bad asthma, then I stopped using my inhaler 2 years ago, and I've had no issue since. Really? How was that then? Were you saying that the inhaler was actually making it worse, or I don't know? They're supposed to be there to actually help, but I heard something about like that those inhalers. I don't know if like it's. I remember like there was this thing on like why is it that people with asthma tend to get sick? It could just be that they have a lot of inflammation in their airways, and that causes a lot of those like immune cells to become inflamed and sort of not as functional. So I believe it was making it impossible for my body to heal. Right. So what was your healing from? But apparently, isn't it like this like steroid inhalers or something? And it's like, yeah, that it's got some kind of unnatural stuff in it. So the asthma, right? Hi, Sephra. I thought it depends on. Some people have different reasons. Some people have like what they call like exercise-induced asthma, where it's like they only get the symptoms when they really exert their body. A lot of times that could be that if they're overweight or something, and that can trigger those symptoms or something like that. Standing on the earth in the dirt barefoot will reduce inflammation. Are you on about grounding? I've heard there's supposed to be some benefits of that. I'm a bit skeptical of it, but yeah, it's something I don't know. Has anyone actually tried that then? Or I had bad asthma, but I was always quite athletic and run a lot. But I struggle with shortness of breath. If anything, but I could run longer than most people, so I don't know. Yeah, it's just obviously like when it comes to endurance running, then it becomes more about endurance rather than you might not demand as much oxygen in that case, perhaps. The problem is it's doctors who don't really care or look into it, who's diagnose people with random stuff. I know. Because they just want to get you on some kind of medication, don't they? They're just, hi, Ozan, good to see you again. How are you? Welcome in here. They just want you on their meds, regardless of whether that's actually the cause of your illness. Yeah. And sometimes they might even have you believe that you're going crazy. It's like, you know what happened, right? I mean, grandmother had some issue with her neck where she would tilt to the side. And then she went to the doctor. I think they tried sending her to a frigging shrink or something. And then, but it was like, they eventually found out what it was. And then she ended up getting these jabs every 3 months that would kind of stop it from happening. But like, so she ended up having to like leave work at that point, and because it was just, yeah, she ended up just kind of having an early retirement after that. But yeah, the problem is you don't. Yeah, I've just read that, so that's good then, Oz. I'm glad you're doing well. Yeah, I don't know if yeah, running by. There was this guy in the chat called Bench Brawls or something, and it was going about this whole eccentric thing, and I'm like, it just seemed very dogmatic, and I couldn't be asked with people like that because I'm like, it's like you can believe what you want, but like, it's just that he seemed to be very much like, it's like we couldn't just agree to disagree, just like very much saying, oh, you should do this super slow eccentric thing. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I just wonder what your thoughts on all that thing are, running by. It's just, I don't think it's really that important as what some people say. I think it's more about just focusing on, like you said, the time under tension and just the trying to kind of put enough stress on the muscle to make it, yeah. He's wrong anyway. Centric is wrong. It's time under tension now. That's what builds muscle. I was talking about this the other day, that like when you were saying about it's not breaking down muscle, but I would say that the muscles have to break down to some degree to be that stimulus. And you were saying that I would say that, but you're going to get damage from whether that's eccentric or concentric. It's because if you're stressing the muscle out, then of course the muscle is going to start to, kind of break down as, it's not going to be able to keep withstanding that level of tension. It's going to start breaking apart. But yeah, because why would the muscle build unless there's some damage? But the thing is that you don't necessarily need slow eccentrics to make that happen. Can you do workouts? I did a bit of something earlier, but I might do some more stuff later. But I'm trying not to do it more like on the lives. I mean, sometimes I like to, time under tension is a cause for muscle fiber breakdown that causes muscle building. Muscle breakdown doesn't cause muscle growth like a marathon runner has extreme amounts of muscle breakdown. Yeah, yeah, that is true. They will have muscle breakdown, but with a runner, they tend to be, yeah, it's more endurance, isn't it, at that point? I suppose we're kind of both right in a way that, yeah, obviously there needs to be a sufficient load on the muscle, but also a sufficient amount of damage. So it's kind of like a combination of both of those that is what's going to tell your body to get bigger. Because, yeah, if it's more endurance stuff, then the body's like, okay, well, we don't want to get bigger because that's not going to help us with what we're doing. We just need to get stronger and be able to withstand that for longer. I mean, all these studies will probably be wrong in 10 years. Yeah, there's a lot of contradictions and say, oh, this now isn't the right way. And then, but I think the best thing to take from it is lift heavy or whatever, or just create enough stress on the muscles to then, yeah, if you're getting some level of soreness, that's a good indicator, I would say, but you don't necessarily have to have super sore muscles afterwards, because I think that's also a myth as well. As long as you feel a little bit of inflammation in the muscle, I think then it's kind of like a sign that you're doing something right, because that means you've created enough tension on the muscle. So, but yeah, a lot of people just keep like overcomplicating things. But this whole thing about, like it's like it just sounds like something that Genetic Beast would say. This friggin' Tommy's Bench Bros or something. It sounds like he's a Genetic Beast fanboy. Get it? Oh, God. He's a concentric slave. Get it? Oh, God. He's a volume slave. Get it? I think different things work for different people. The lifestyle people live today might see life expectancy go down a bit because the people who are 90 and 100 now had totally different lives. Oh yeah, what's that? Phycoplasmic baby. Phycoplasmic baby! Get it? I can't believe you've actually watched that. And I saw you actually in the comment section on, what was it called? Someone's channel that, what was it called? Trying to remember. It was one that was like kind of doing a rebuttal against running outside is better than running on treadmill because you can sweat and get tired running outside. Yeah, you just get fresh air as well, so you're getting that as well. Another thing I want to talk about is going out in nature. So we're talking about cortisol and stress. Apparently, right, nature's a good one for this. There's a thing called phytoncides, right? This might sound a bit weird or whatever, and but I've been looking into this, and it has like a kind of like an adaptogenic effect on the body, apparently, because the theory is that because the plants produce these, like the trees and stuff, they produce it. So you've got to say so it says here, phytoncides are volatile organic compounds released by trees and plants, acting as a natural defense against insects, fungi, and bacteria. They have also been shown to have beneficial effects on human health, including boosting the immune system, reducing stress, and improving sleep. So, yeah, well, that's good. But there's something about trees apparently, and there's like a whole bunch of literature on it, and that you can actually find that there's it's about phytoncides soothing the nervous system and all that, activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah, there was some hotel room study, and they found something like a 50% increase in the natural killer cell activation. So it might even help to prevent cancers, possibly, or at least slow them down. So I'm wondering something. Actually, I was wondering if people who already have cancer, whether this might actually be a good therapy to help them to continue longer. Phytoncides, whether they slow cancer growth or something. So it might be worth looking into that, actually. It says here, exposure to phytoncides has therefore shown potential to be beneficial to early and terminal cancer patients, not only through psychological aspects of stress reduction and peace, but also scientifically by increasing the number of NK cells and the level of various intracellular anti-cancer proteins. So there you go, guys. Oh, hello, white blue cloud. How are you doing? Half hour into come to a bit of the pound where there was a lot more. Hang on, I'll just. I know I'm going on a tangent, but it made me smile. And a type of fly that stay around lakes hopped on my shoulder, and it stayed there and didn't move, and went on my finger, and it stayed there for about half hour. All right, no, that's good to see you. How are you doing? Until I came to a bit of a pound where there was a lot more of them. Then it flew off it. I searched it up, and when they only live a few days, it brought a smile to my face. So that's good. Quick question: how to fix a horrible sleep schedule? I mean, like, well, it's just discipline. Yeah, basically that's it. Just set yourself some kind of reminder or something like that. Perhaps just if you lose track of time, just set yourself some reminder to be like, right, it's this time now. I should be, getting ready for bed. So maybe putting something on your phone or something like that, perhaps. What causes lucid dreams? I think it's just like, I'm not 100% sure. I've not actually had one myself, but I hate going to sleep it's something that we have to do in order to feel our best. So we have to kind of see it as a necessary evil. After wind down for next week, I think find some cycle paths in tree covered areas. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, tree covered areas will be good for, like they said, the fighting sides. Yeah, I get it, right. Another thing would be work out hard, because if you're working out, right, then your body's going to probably feel more tired. So you're just going to feel like there's a thing when it comes to exercise, you get sleep pressure. So it can help you with sleep. So that could be another thing to consider, that you might find that you can sleep better after that. Sleep is half of all time, so we are basically dead half of our life already. Well, they say about 8 hours is what you should be aiming for, but that's about a third. But yeah, it's still a lot of your time. But yeah, I know I don't get as much sleep as I probably should be, but sometimes I'll wake up randomly at like friggin' 6 o'clock, and then I'll go back to sleep for a bit, and it's just, I don't know. But it is what it is, I'm just gonna do some lateral raises, I think. I'll just do it with the bag. But yeah, I hope everyone's well tonight. Feel free to ask questions, everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. What someone should do is like slow eccentrics on one side and then fast eccentrics on another side, to see if there's any actual truth to that stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, what's everybody saying? Yes, I hate my dreams and nightmares. I've been getting sleep paralysis for years now. Oh, blimey. Maybe is it something that you've, maybe you get some help for. Like, I don't know if there's like any kind of therapist that can help with things like that, but it's not something of an area of expertise for me. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything that can really be done. I might need to look into that. I don't get nightmares, but the dreams are just disappointing AF. All right. What do you mean? Which seems to be going somewhere good, but then it ends in disappointment or something, or... So I sometimes get nightmares if I don't pray. That's why I always pray before sleeping, right? So you're religious then, or is it just like a kind of... So yeah, people like who are not religious, but they're like kind of spiritual, and they do like more like mindfulness practices and things like that, and they like things like meditation where they'll, you know, incorporate praying into that. And yeah, well, you're religious, right? I mean, but I'm thinking like, why should God give you nightmares if you don't pray or something? Like, this seems fucked up to me. But I'm not going to get into arguing about this shit, because it's not like we're going to change each other's minds on things. So anyway, hope everyone's had a good day. If anybody's new here, make sure you subscribe. That would be great. Let's get to 20 likes, guys. Oh, you're Muslim, right? Okay. Oh, you're an atheist. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to keep an open mind, but it's like, the way I see it is that I see a lot of atrocities in the world, but yeah, I think that there is certain truths to like praying and stuff, but like it's more just like a kind of ritual that you do just to kind of about your intention and all that, and just focus in your intention. It's like everyone's got their own mantras that they do, and like kind of it's about finding what works for you. But anyway, welcome in everybody. Hope you're all well tonight. And I mean, don't do rituals. Well, you could argue that that's a type of ritual. Like ritual, something that you would do like as a part of like a kind of, I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, I'm just going to try and get off this subject. So what are you up to the next week, guys? There's no key to discipline. I would often search for it when it gets hard, but it's just do it. That's discipline. Yeah, that's it. I think what I would suggest is to focus on why you're doing it. And that might help to kind of keep you on the right track, because if you don't have a bigger why, then that can sort of make you just try to come up with excuses not to when you're not feeling like doing it. So this is what I talk about when it comes to a clean 1K for you. What do you mean? Because some people might set a schedule, but then if there's no real purpose behind what they're doing, then they're gonna just try to, you know, talk themselves out of it. It's, for example, if you're trying to lose weight, don't just do it for you. Maybe it's about doing it for somebody else. You know, if somebody can keep you accountable, like let's say, if you're trying to make someone else proud, it could help you, because you're not just doing it for you. And it might be that you just want to be more, you might think, well, I want to still be here to like, you know, be able to be fit for like grandchildren, for example, or something like that. You don't want to end up being crippled and not being able to really be there for your grandchildren, for example. So it's like, that would be like a bigger reason to do it than just, oh, I want to be looking good or whatever. Because for some people that isn't good enough. I feel like, no, that doesn't matter anymore. What you're on about. I feel like we have a lot of distraction relatively to the older periods. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, all the like social media, everything. That's probably why the older generations, you could say in a way they had it easier or they had it harder, but it was easier to stay on track for them because of that. They didn't have all these distractions. They would just do what they needed to do. Anyway, any questions, put them in the chat. What was that? Read your message. Hang on, what was that? I sometimes get midnight motivations, but when I wake up that morning, it vanishes. Yeah. Yeah, so that's something like of an issue that some people get where it's like they have some idea come into their head, but then so yeah, you just gotta try and just do it in that moment. When you have that, then that's the time you should do it, unless you can't. But because that's when you're most likely going to get it done. If you wait, it's like with New Year's resolutions. The problem I have with that is that people are waiting to try and do something, but then they might have the motivation at that point, but then by the time it gets to the new year, they might be like, not really bothered. But because if you have that motivation, you could like, it might just help you to kind of push through. Like if you can have the motivation for, sometimes you might have motivation for a while. You have this idea in your head that I want to do certain thing, and then, but if you just wait and then your brain will just be like, oh well, whatever, and then it just loses that motivation to do it. So I'm not really a big fan of New Year's resolutions, and most of the time they fail. Do you have any life goals? Right. I don't really think too much about specific goals. My focus is just continuing with the fitness, just trying to just I'm look at trying to make more money from the busking and stuff like that, and just try to just generally move in a positive direction. And traveling is something I want to do, just but a specific goals, like people think, oh, I have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I think those are a bit ridiculous because you never really know what's going to happen in that time. So anyway, I guess the journey you could take is slowly eliminating the bad habits, like starting with sleeping correctly and then stop the distractions or procrastinating and do things we love. Yeah. Yeah, there is that. I mean, nowadays we're avoiding things we love and waste our time and effort in the wrong area. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just that we've become so addicted to all these vices and stuff. And it's becoming more and more difficult as these things become more and more accessible. But I think it's just going to get to a point where people are going to have had enough. Like, for example, when it comes to like online dating, I reckon in the future that they're probably it's going to end up collapsing because everyone's just going to be so sick of it that they're like, you know what, this ain't working. We're going to have to meet in person. I'm wondering if that is going to happen at some point where people become, where they've been depending on technology and then they realize that it's not working for them, and then it just kind of forces them to just like actually have to do the things that they've been putting off, like going out and meeting people or something. That's like everyone's all just trying to kind of avoid the thing that they're a bit more afraid of, but it's the thing that would lead to better results than to just kind of try to cheat and just Video games are good if it's managed properly, like a time dedicated only for that in a day. Yeah. Like if you've got like downtime, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And some video games can be good for you. Like if it's a creative video game, then you could argue that it might improve certain areas in your brain. Or if it's something that involves, a lot of hand-eye coordination, that can be good for you. So there's certain skills that you can build up when you're playing video games, so I don't see it all as bad. I have a PS4, so it's hard to avoid for me, right? Yeah. What's the hours? Oh yeah, I don't actually play video games. Well, I used to play them all the time, but I just got to a point where it's like, okay, enough's enough. I'm just like, yeah, because there was things that like, yeah, just kind of, I don't know. I just started to get into other things, and then anyway. Hope everyone's had a good day. Feel free to ask questions, everyone. I don't know, like I used to play like a lot. Who are you talking to? But yeah, I've just been looking into like, yeah, some different things tonight. I don't know if you've all been here at the time, but I was just looking at like things such as the effects on fiber, on protein and stuff like that. And also the effects of like phytoncides on stress levels and things like that. So, and whether it helps with terminal cancer, because when people have terminal cancer, like stage 4 stuff like that, would it be able to like help them to live longer with it? So it's saying exposure to phytoncides has therefore been shown the potential to be beneficial to cancer patients, both early and terminal ones. Not only, yeah, I've just read that before, didn't I? No, I'm not bothering with all that, Johan. I'm just kind of, I guess if I really wanted to, I would probably get somebody, but I'm just kind of like not really focusing on that. I'm just, I just can't be bothered. It's like, if someone really wants me, then they can come to me. But I'm not bothered to just go out and try to chase after that shit. I've got things I need to prioritize myself. Yeah. It's about just kind of getting to a point where it's like, okay, this ain't working. It's not worth it. And then, yeah. 30 minutes a day, 3 times a day. Yeah. But as long as you can get all your goals done and all that, then I know, Johan, but it's like, if they think I'm that handsome, then why don't they come after me then, I don't know. Hi, Titch, how you doing? They want you to fucking approach them. I'm like, nah, because they're probably just going to mess you around anyway, so whatever. I just don't really have much faith in it all. And then you get these like fucking singles nights or something. I don't know. But I'm just not really doing that right now. Maybe I'll when I'm just kind of feel like I've got everything in place, then I'll do that. I just don't even feel like, maybe I'm not even ready anyway. Yeah, I don't think it's fair. I think more women should probably, because then it kind of takes some of the pressure off men. And it's like, if they want their equality and all that, then why can't they also do some of it? But it's more like to find the right person, yeah, because a lot of them just are not really right for me anyway. It is unfair, but like, I know like men are supposed to be like the confident ones to approach, but it would help if, say, like the woman would show some kind of indication that they're interested. Because let's face it, right, most men would probably, let's say if a woman came up to a man, unless she's like really ugly or something, he'd probably give her a chance if he's not taken. Whereas on the flip side, if even like an attractive guy goes up to even an average woman, he's not guaranteed to get her number even if she is single, you know? Like, it's just not really, it's not fair. Apparently at one time, what would have happened is a woman would have, let's say, accidentally dropped her handkerchief, and then that would have sort of like invited that man to kind of go and pick it up and be like the gentleman and then start a conversation. That's how it would have been done. But these women nowadays, they think that men are mind readers, that you're supposed to pick up on all these subtle hints and whatever. And it's like, why don't men approach me? Well, why don't you show that you're interested? Is it because you're scared that he won't be interested? But I don't know what it is about these women where it's like they think that women's also have their own job. It's not men always hard working, right? What you're saying? I don't believe in the get the number thing. I'd only date someone I'd known for years. YK. Okay. I mean, like, but it's like knowing someone for years is a long time. It's like, I don't know. Surely, I don't know, like you can find out that whether it's the right person without it taking years, but each their own. When I was in college, we had traffic light balls. You wear a red badge which indicates don't approach. Green, free and available. Orange is picky was great. Oh yeah. Yeah, it'd be good to have something like that where they would kind of indicate whether you should go and approach them, because some people don't want to be approached. And, you know, if you don't want to be, then maybe you should have some kind of sign to be like, don't approach me. Like, you don't know them at all. So, like, expecting something from them is like gambling. Yeah. But the thing is, though, oftentimes friends to lovers do not work, because if they see you as a friend and then after so long they're going to be like, just get friend zoned. So why invest so much if you're hoping to like get with that person? Because if you have any kind of feelings, then it's like, it's just going to end up disastrous. So I don't agree with you on that, actually. Maybe in some odd cases it works, but most of the time, trying to become good friends with a woman is just going to end up leading to disaster. Like, if there's some kind of romantic interest, it's going to happen fairly quickly, unless, I don't know. The sad thing is you're above, yeah, I know, but well, this is the thing. It's like, that's how crazy it is. Where I could ask, I mean, I've literally talked to girls of all kind of attractiveness, and yeah, even a lot of these unattractive girls are stuck up and think that they're better than you. It's like, I don't know, but like maybe we should just agree to disagree on this then. But yeah. Because it's one of those things where it's like, if you're talking to a woman, it's different to talking to a man. It's like, because then you can end up start getting the romantic interest, and then it's like you can't control that unless you're just one of these people that can. But like, a lot of people ain't going to be able to control that, and it's like they're going to need to know what it is. Like, are we just going to be staying friends, or are we actually gonna, yeah. Anyway, so actually met my wife through FB, really. FB, it's not FB dating, is it? Because apparently, yeah, Facebook has its own dating function, but anyway. I might restart the live, guys. Yeah, we're gonna restart. I'll be back in a sec.